Porter Erisman, you were one of Alibaba's first American employees. You joined back in 2000. What was the company like back then? Now it's worth $250 billion, but what about then?
Yeah, then it was just this sort of ragtag team of teachers and dreamers, and I talk about it in the book. My first sort of experience when I saw Jack in action, it was like watching a rock star at sort of his first gig before he really worked out the kinks and really knew what he was doing. But they had big dreams. They wanted to build China's first global internet company, and it looked like such a big dream that I thought I'd join up with them.
And in the book, you write that Alibaba doesn't plan. That's the quote you attribute to Jack Ma. How hard was it working for a company that didn't plan its own future?
Yeah, in those early days, Alibaba didn't plan much because the market was just evolving. It was sort of like right after the Big Bang. I think one of the things that helped Alibaba survive those early days was that rather than having a long-term plan, we just listened to the customer and moved and focused based on sort of what we learned each day. I'm sure now with 30,000 employees, they plan a lot, but those early days, that's probably what saved us.
Can you talk about the development of the Chinese customer? People hear a lot about them buying knockoff bags. Talk about how astute the Chinese customer was then and how they are now.
Yeah, back then there wasn't much of a consumer economy, and in fact there wasn't much e-commerce. So when Alibaba got started, less than 1% of China was online. People didn't have the money to purchase, basic consumer goods. It's totally changed. The interesting thing you see now is that e-commerce has sort of leapfrogged in China beyond the US, so that people build brands on Alibaba and Tmall, and basically rather than going to a retail environment in an offline world, people just build brands online, and there are even original brands created simply on Tmall.
Now there's some US brands that were trying to get into China. I'm talking about eBay and Yahoo. Now a lot of people thought Alibaba was going to team up with eBay, but Jack Ma and Alibaba ended up going with Yahoo because he and Jerry Yang got along. Can you talk about that relationship?
Yeah, that's one of the things in the book. I wanted to take people behind the scenes of these, board meetings so people could see what was at work here. And eBay seemed like the logical partner for us. Our businesses were more complementary, but Jack Ma and Jerry Yang had a much better rapport with each other. And we decided we'd take the bigger bet, which was trying to incorporate search into our portfolio of businesses. It turned out not to go very well, but that's sort of Alibaba and Jack Ma's style, is to really go for the big bet and be very aggressive.
And the CEO, Jonathan Liu, is being replaced by the COO, Daniel Zhang. Can you talk about today's management?
Yeah, I've met Daniel once or twice. He's a very humble guy and seems very competent in what he does. The important thing I think for investors to know is that Alibaba's partnership led by Jack sort of has a long-term steady vision, and from time to time they'll rotate people in and out of the CEO position, I'm guessing. And even when I was at Alibaba, my business card, the title changed 8 times in 8 years. That's how they do things. So I think people can expect that they'll stay on a steady course pursuing their vision, but they just have a new CEO to adjust and fine-tune based on their most recent needs.
Well, finally, the title of your book is Alibabas World. Is it really Alibaba's entire world, or are they going to really focus on China, which is a world unto itself? And I guess what I'm saying is there a way of doing things better off in places like China and India, very large places with lots of customers, as opposed to the US and Europe?
Yeah, I think one thing people don't always realize, Alibaba already is global, but their marketplace is more serving import and export, so it's not something you use day to day as a consumer. So it is the most global of all the Chinese internet companies. I think they'll focus on cross-border trade and then focus on other markets similar to China, like maybe India or Southeast Asia, or who knows, maybe someday Africa. But I think for them to get really aggressive in the US, they'll start with baby steps, investing small amounts in US companies to learn about the market, rather than trying to bring their entire business model here and apply it to the US market.
One more question. Who is Jack Ma afraid of? Is there a competitor out there that he's really worried about or really wants to beat into a pulp?
I think our biggest fear was that we would have lost who we were. So I think he's afraid of Alibaba losing its culture. That's why the company spends so much time training staff, bringing them in, doing performance evaluations that stress values as opposed to just profit. So I think he thinks Alibaba themselves are the biggest competitor, and they need to just stay sharp and focus on the customer, themselves, and the rest will take care of itself.
Thanks a lot, Porter.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for watching The Street.